An actress shot Andy Warhol in 1968, but it took 19 years for the impact to kill him. On June 3, 1968, Andy Warhol had been hanging out at his studio when an actress stormed in and shot at the artist 3 times. Warhol miraculously survived this ordeal, but while the artist may have lived to tell the tale of his assassination attempt, the impact it had on him would lead to his demise 19 years later. By the time of the shooting, Warhol was one of the most successful artists in the world. His pop art concept had seen him make famous faces and everyday items into gallery-worthy subjects. However, just when Warhol was at the top of his game, an attempted murder almost put an end to everything. Warhol had experienced prior run-ins with his assailant, but evidently he'd been unaware about just how dangerous she really was. The shooting was devastating for the artist. He sustained injuries to 9 of his organs and was even declared dead at the hospital. Somehow, Warhol pulled through, but the physical and mental scars from his ordeal never faded. Warhol was born in August 1928 to parents Andre and Julia Warhola in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The couple had emigrated from Slovakia prior to his birth. And in their new country, Warhol's father found employment as a construction worker, while his mother worked as an embroiderer. While Warhol's parents had made the U.S. their home, their Slovakian heritage remained important to them. They were practicing Byzantine Catholics and regularly went to Mass. The family also lived in a part of Pittsburgh popular with other Eastern Europeans. When Warhol was 8 years old, his life was altered forever when he contacted chorea. The ailment, which is sometimes called St. Vitus dance, affects the nervous system and leads to involuntary movements of the body. Sadly, the condition confined Warhol to his bed for months. But the period was also instrumental in the youngster's life. While Warhol was ill in bed, he took drawing lessons from his mother, Julia, who was a talented artist herself, and art became one of Warhol's most loved activities. At the same time, he developed a love of pop culture, listening to the radio and collecting photographs of famous actors and actresses at the time. At the age of 9, Warhol developed his artistic talents further after his mom gifted him a camera. He even transformed his family's basement into a DIY darkroom so that he could develop his own films. However, while Warhol had found a creative outlet, his life was rocked once more with the death of his father in 1942. Warhol was only 14 when his father died, but his dad had already noticed his son's artistic talents and had left his life savings to pay for Warhol's college fees. He would later enroll at Pittsburgh's Carnegie Institute of Technology and study commercial art. Warhol graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in 1949 and moved to New York City later that year. The move to New York represented a new and exciting chapter in Warhol's life. While working at Glamour magazine, he became one of the most prominent commercial artists of the 1950s. Warhol won many awards at the time and was known for his whimsical style and use of stamps and blotted lines in his pieces. However, it wasn't until the 1960s that Warhol landed on the style which would make him world famous. After shifting the focus of his work to painting, he introduced his pop art concept, which put everyday items on canvas in celebration of their form. He subsequently created one of his most famous paintings in 1962, which featured Campbell's soup cans. Throughout the years, Warhol also depicted other consumer goods such as vacuum cleaners, Coca-Cola bottles, and hamburgers. He also painted a number of famous faces, from Marilyn Monroe to Chairman Mao. And soon everyone who was anyone wanted to be immortalized in Warhol's signature pop art style. Throughout the 1960s, Warhol became as iconic as some of his famous subjects. His art studio, The Factory, was one of New York's hippest locations, frequented by celebrities, socialites, and a number of other unique characters. The musician Lou Reed was a regular at the hangout and wrote about the eccentricities he met there in his song Walk on the Wild Side. Warhol's attacker also turned her gun on Mario Amaya, an art critic who was present at the factory. He was shot in the hip, but his injuries were minor. The assailant also tried to shoot Warhol's manager Fred Hughes in the head, but her weapon jammed. Hughes then asked the assailant to leave, and she departed after leaving her address book on the table. Following the attack, Warhol was rushed to New York's Columbus Mother Cabrini Hospital. He'd sustained significant wounds and at one point was even declared dead. but surgeons battled to keep him alive, and Warhol underwent a 5-hour operation in order to save his life. As Warhol struggled for survival in the hospital, Valerie Solanas presented herself to police and claimed that she was the artist's assailant. She reportedly told officers that she'd attacked Warhol as he had too much control in my life. Solanas was subsequently charged with possession of a deadly weapon and felonious assault. According to factory legend, Warhol did read Solanas's play. However, he reportedly believed it to be so pornographic that he thought it was a police trap. At the time, Warhol's films were regularly shut down by the authorities for being obscene. So clearly he felt that he should err on the side of caution when it came to Solanas's work. While Solanas was mostly able to fade into obscurity, her actions had a lasting effect on Warhol. He was hospitalized for weeks after the shooting and had to undergo a number of procedures. Furthermore, because of the injuries sustained from the attack, he was forced to wear a surgical corset for the remainder of his days. Furthermore, Solanas's assassination attempt may have also played a part in Warhol's death in 1987. The artist had previously been diagnosed with gallstone issues 14 years prior to that. However, he delayed treatment for the ailment as his brush with death had left him with a fear of hospitals and doctors. The world is filled with stories going viral every single day. But how many of these sites can you actually follow? We understand that your day should start with positive stories, stories that resonate with you. And so we started JoJo Stories. Our mission is to create meaningful stories that cover everything from animals to anthropology, history to environment and lifestyle. The kind of content you read on our site will be one you'll want to share with your family and friends. We hope you'll join our growing family and be part of our community. Welcome to JoJo Stories. JoJoStories.com.